Hello, and welcome to the Coach Therapy Podcast. I'm Coach Q, and I am so excited that you decided to tune in today. We're going to take a journey through vulnerability so that we can reach clarity, healing, growth, and success. You're going to learn some things about you, you'll learn some things about me, but most importantly, you will receive tools every episode that will help you to become better every single day. Enjoy Coach Therapy. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Coach Therapy Podcast. I'm Coach Q, and I just want to thank you once again for tuning in to this podcast. And I'm hoping that you are receiving information that is helpful for you, that you are finding tips and tools to apply to your life, ways to become better, ways to evolve and to heal. I hope that you're getting it every time that you click onto one of these episodes. I am grateful for the opportunity to be able to share with you some things that are going on in my world. I'm grateful for the space to be vulnerable. Now, most of you know vulnerability has never been my thing, but it's interesting because through vulnerability, I feel like I'm just softening on up. And I feel like I am learning more about myself and finding other ways to combat things that are going on in my world. So, thank you. As I was thinking, I'm going to be just opening up and sharing on the Coach Therapy podcast tools to help others. And in return, I have found tools for myself. So, thank you for being my audience and allowing the space for me to do it. So, can I get into this little story? My cute little niece, her name is Zori, it's my baby. Um, she called me, Auntie Quinny. And it's funny because she called me right as I was recording the podcast. Like I had started, and then my phone rang and my computer rang, and I'm like, let me answer this, right? And it's my niece. And I answer the phone and it's a FaceTime call, and she doesn't say anything. She's just grinning from ear to ear and showing me all of her teeth. And I said, and while she's grinning from ear to ear, she's holding one of her uh a tooth in her hand. And I said, "Oh my God, Auntie, baby, it came out. Your tooth came out." And she's like, "Yup, it came out this morning." And then she proceeds to say, she shows me where it was missing from because, of course, she's about to be 7, so she has several missing teeth. But she shows me where it's missing from, and she goes, "The door is now open." And I just paused. I said, "The door is now open?" She said, "Yep, the door is now open." And she stuck her tongue through the space where she has a missing tooth. And that stuck with me. The door is now open. It's interesting because she was here over the summer and she had like wiggly teeth. And so I think she lost some of them up here, and these were loose, but she hadn't yet lost those. So she would be like, "Oh, Auntie, this one is loose." Like she was just so exciting. I'm like, this is the only time in your life where you're going to be excited about loose teeth and excited when you actually lose them. Uh, so enjoy it. So yeah, she was like, "Oh, Auntie, it's another one. It's loose." And this was a couple months ago. And she had this loose tooth, and every time we get on the phone, she'd be like, "It's getting looser, but it's not ready to come out yet." And so she would just be so excited and have so much anticipation for the time when her tooth would be ready to fall out. And then I can recall when she was losing these teeth at the top, she would be so afraid of losing them. Like, "Oh my God, like, oh, we were trying to like put a string around it one day, and she was screaming, crying. And I'm like, "Okay, forget it. Just leave it alone. Whenever it's ready, it's gonna come out." And eventually they did. But today, her saying the door is now open reminded me of my own journey. When I know that something in my life is, I've outgrown it, it's time for it to be removed. I know something else needs to occupy that space. But no matter what I do, it doesn't seem like I can expedite the timing on which the door will become open. And it's so frustrating. But she reminded me today that we just got to wait it out and the door will eventually open. Y'all, I have been in the thick of some prayer requests, I'll call it that. And I'm like, there are some things that I am in need of. There are some changes that I want to make. There are areas that I want to progress in. And I can look around my life and see the things that are expired, the things that I want to replace, the areas that I am ready to have new growth. And it has been a frustrating journey because I'm like, I'm doing everything I can, but the door isn't open yet. But my little niece and her story of losing her tooth reminded me that the door will eventually come open and that I just have to wait it out. To have to just continue moving forward. Like, yeah, she had this loose tooth, but she still had to eat. And even if she had to alter the way she did something, she made it through until now she has a missing tooth and she's so excited because she knows she's going to get rewarded for that. She know that, hey, it's going to be some money under her pillow tomorrow when she wakes up. And it's funny how when we're a child, we have all of these lessons, but we don't really understand them in their totality. And as you enter into adulthood, you get to a place where you get to see life through everything, through every example. You're able to see, oh, wait a minute, what is that saying to me in this moment? And I believe that those words were assigned to me today. The door is now open. Yes, I know you have been frustrated. I know it has not worked out. I know that you are really ready to just throw in the towel, but the door is now open. And for someone who has just heard no and things have not worked out, the door is now open. And I want you to find it within you to believe that because that's what I'm up against right now. It's like, is it, when is this? How is this? Will it ever? Do I have to be let down again before? And it's like, no, I am believing that I am walking into a season of the door is now open. That's what I am going to declare over the rest of my year, that the door is now open. Nothing that we go through is in vain. As difficult as it is, and even when we don't see the value in it at the time, it's necessary. Because when the door finally opens up in our lives, we have such a great appreciation for where we are because we know what it has taken from us to get there. I was working with the client, and the client had shared some things with me that had been going on, and I reminded my client that it's just a moment and not the totality of everything. And it's so easy to get caught up in a moment. It's so easy to allow a moment to shift our mood. And when we allow a moment to shift our mood, then it really impacts our productivity. We have to be so careful and so delicate with how we handle moments in our lives when it seems like things will never work out, when it seems like another disappointment, when it feels like we have run out of options, We have to be strategic about the moment, because if we're ever going to get to the place of the door is now open, we have to take better care of the moments in our life. How significant are you going to allow how significant are you going to allow a moment to be in your life? Are you going to deem the moment as the end all be all, or are you just going to say, all right, this too shall pass? The way you handle that moment determines the outcome. We can make a decision in a moment that has lasting impacts. But sometimes in the moment, we need to allow ourselves to feel it, and then we got to move on from it, because we are going to a space where the door is going to open. We're going to get the yes. It will not always be no. It will not always be no. And as I am sitting here telling you that it will not always be no, I am talking to myself that it will not always be no. It will not always be the way that it is. It will not always be this frustrating. And it will not always be this debilitating. And I am able to say that to you because I am saying it to myself. We all face moments of disappointment and uncertainty. And if I'm in full transparency, I'm just in a moment of uncertainty. And I'm like, Lord, I have done X, Y, and Z. And I'm trying to get to all the way over there. And it seems like with every step that I make, it doesn't feel like it's bringing me any closer. It doesn't feel like I am almost there. But today I'm reminded that the door is almost open. The door is almost open. Like I'm heading right in the direction that I need to be. And it's just like sometimes the process can make us feel like it ain't gonna happen. I just talked to my niece yesterday, and sometimes she calls me on FaceTime and she just wants to sit on FaceTime with me, and she's like showing me tricks and showing me everything, and she's like wiggling her tooth, and I'm like, is it out? She's like, not yet, not yet. But she's wiggling, and I am seeing that it is so loose. Like, girl, it is time for that tooth to come out. And she's not yet, not yet. And it's so funny how children can teach us a level of patience, ironically, right? Kids who typically have no patience, but in that scenario with her tooth, I was able to see like she was so okay with it not being ready yet. Like, not yet, auntie, because she knew that it would. She had already had the experience with other teeth. Eventually, it's going to happen. Excuse me. And she just knew eventually it's going to happen. And so I stand here today with the same resolve that eventually it's going to happen. And I have to share that with somebody else through my vulnerability that, hey, yeah, I've been frustrated and I have not felt like it was going to work out, if I'm being completely honest. But it's just like this faith in me that knows the door has to open. Eventually it has to open up for me, and it has to open up for you. The door is on this way to being open, but you just got to know it. And you can't deviate from your process because it hasn't opened up yet. You can't walk away from all that you have done because it hasn't turned out the way you want it to turn out in the timing in which you feel like it should happen. Pump your brakes, settle down. It's going to happen though. It's bound to happen. And you have to know like, okay, if I just hang in there just a little bit longer, it's going to happen for me. And so this is just a short episode of the Coach Therapy podcast, but the door is now open. That's what I want to leave you with. That's what is lingering in my spirit. The door is now open. And so until next time, I want you to have a phenomenal week and take care of yourself. The door is now open.